go. Good morning, everybody. John Spielkel here with GAI Insights. And we got the Gen AI news briefing this morning. We got a pretty full house of analysts. We had everything from new bundled co-pilot stuff from Microsoft through some AI friends. Then a little bit of what we think of as probably a nothing burger, where we got the Forrester adding a little bit of AI to their front end. Great article on some new AI adoption. Fascinating research article about combining quantum mathematical models with traditional ones. A data pipeline company, as well as you too can improve your DALL-E images. So we got a lot going on today. So with that, let me start off with Adam. What do you think of Microsoft's? Well, first, Ankash, if you could lay out the Microsoft article for us, and then we'll turn to Adam for our first take.
Sure, John. So the first one that we have for today is from Microsoft. So Microsoft 365 Copilot is now GPT4 Turbo-enabled, and it has improved image generation capabilities.
Great. So Adam, what do you think of this one?
Yeah, so look, I think this is borderline between optional and important. Obviously, if you're an M365 Copilot shop and you're already using this could be important news. It has some useful upgrades along with GPT4 Turbo, which is the most capable model in terms of reasoning. They also support larger amounts of text in a single prompt. You have unlimited number of chats per day, which for people that are using it a lot will certainly help them break free of some of the limitations they had. And if you use DALL-E for image creation, you now have 100 images per day, as opposed to 15, right? So there's some big upgrades in terms of the capabilities, but generally speaking, it's a step change. There's nothing too massive. So overall, I'd say it's probably optional news. But again, maybe with a note saying, if you're an M365 Copilot shop, this is worth noting. You've got an upgrade.
All right, so we got an upgrade in the license there. Anybody feel this is important? I don't hear any essentials here.
No, I always find it interesting that the people who pay the big bucks, the enterprises, always get everything later. I found this with Google too. I was one of the first business users of Google, and we got all the features well after all the people on Gmail. It's really interesting that you pay more money, you go through this process, you get everything later.
Yeah, well, you never know. Well, Microsoft did have that stuff where they were putting a lot more through the reseller channel first, but in the main, yes, fascinating. Okay, so optional news. Let's turn to Akash. Next article, please.
Okay. So the next one is an interesting one. It's from Nomi.ai. It's a startup which provides you with bots who you can talk to as friends and also provide them background in terms of who you want them to be. So really an interesting one.
Yeah, well, interesting. So here we have, for those of you who remember the movie Her by Spike Jonze back about 10 years ago, we have 3 AI friends here. Paul, what do you think?
I think obviously the loneliness and mental health epidemic is large. I think we all know these are moving towards avatars or ways people have emotional connections, be it a personalized teacher or a personalized therapist or a personalized customer service rep. So I think this is a natural step forward, but I think it's optional for our AI leader right now.
Optional for the AI leader. Other opinions?
Yeah, I agree. I think this is underrated in its relevance to overall society, but for day-to-day operations, probably not going to have much impact unless you're in the games business or someplace. But we don't pay enough attention, in my 2 cents, to things that impact communications this dramatically. And I can tell lots of stories even 30 years ago of simple interactions that really got people to open up. It's amazing how much people will open up to a disinterested, that's what a therapist is, right? A disinterested character that doesn't issue a lot of judgment. And this is just a giant experiment. on the mental health of the population run by commercial entities, which I think would be worthy of some study, but we're not going to do that. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's got huge implications for education eventually and the elder care.
Yeah.
But it's still, I'm trying to remember the
We
name
have
of
no idea what the implications are.
Yeah, there's the leader in the space right now is character.ai, right? And they have off the charts in terms of the number of minutes per day the average user stays on their platform. So it's worth paying attention to that these interactive agents really are sticky, right? And I know people personally who, when they really just wanted some sympathy, they went to character.ai and found a nice chatbot, a friendly one that could just listen to them.
Right.
So this is significant stuff, but in terms of the enterprise AI leader, it's optional news.
See, I would make the case for important for the enterprise AI leader, because a lot of the impact of these systems is going to be a whole new design dimension that we haven't really had in IT, and we haven't had with technology very much, which is emotion. And I think there's going to be a huge differentiating perspective, for things you have out in the marketplace, for how you motivate people inside your organization. And I don't know. I think we've got these things where we've got these environments where we spend most of our time, designed by people whose emotional facility, let's say, is not at the top end of the distribution. You know what I mean? So I don't know.
Yeah, I think it will end up doing a lot of Facebook and TikTok because, as Adam says, the big issue is you get a lot of dwell time. So I think it will be captured by those who want dwell time and can make a lot of money off it.
Yeah, but I think it's going to be impact too. Anyway, all right. For this one, we're going to do optional because they're not a market leader, but interesting article here. All right, next, Akash.
Okay. So the next one is from Forrester. They have launched a new chatbot called Izola.
All right. Luda, any thoughts on Izola?
They have been experimenting with Izola. It's a chatbot, and currently all it does is provides information about AI and how you can use it and where you can use it. So generic type of information. So it's an optional article from my perspective. They're going to go next year and open up to their special customers for insights.
Yeah.
But that's not there yet. So optional.
All righty. Put this baby as optional. Just putting any objections to that? A little Gen AI on the front of their knowledge.
What took them so long?
What's that?
What took them so long?
What took them so long? Exactly. All right.
I guess I'd just say I'd almost go as far as to call it a nothing burger. Just that when their chief product officer comes out with an announcement that they have a chatbot, it just feels a little bit like they're trying to talk it up.
Yep.
Yeah.
Maybe more than they should.
It's a super nothing burger.
Super nothing burger. All right. All right. I know I'm moving things around a little here. Paul, you good to go on the AI adoption accelerates as enterprise? All right, Akash, take us the next one.
Yeah. So the next one talks about how there has been increase in productivity gains that organizations have been able to show through POCs, and how it is accelerating AI adoption in these enterprises.
All right. Paul, what do you think?
I think Paul is having difficulty. I can take it, John.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Luda, go for it.
Yeah, so this is an article from CIO magazine, and it's a feature. So it's a 10-minute read, but I think it's worth it. I was thinking we should put it as important. It takes 3 examples, one Eaton Corp, another a bank, and yeah, and then the third one is Lilly, that different angles of how you implement AI or generative AI in this massive organizations.
Yep.
And it is actually, it comes up with some very tactical and also strategic advice about, and I think it's certainly a worth read.
All right. So
I give this an important, again, this is what I call one of those absolute back pocket articles you want to know about when somebody says, what should I read to show me this stuff is real? Because these are very large enterprises. I don't know how big Webster is actually, but Eaton and Lilly are very large enterprises with complex processes. And the examples are good and detailed, and it's worth the read.
Right, and they come up with the things that we've been stressing all over, right? Look at your data. If you don't have data ready, get it in parallel, get it ready, but align your AI strategy with the business strategy. Try it in certain examples and get the business results and then proceed to scale up. So very good set of practices that are keyed in here.
All right. Well, I'm hearing essential. I mean, I got a big E burn a hole in my pocket here. What do you say? I mean, we're just asking people to read.
You know, I just said that in the chat to Michael as well. I said this is borderline essential. Look, it's got 3 great use cases. It's got lots of practical advice. It's a really concise summary. You know, I wouldn't argue if you wanted to push it.
Let's do it, John. You're all essential.
Essential it is. All right, we're going essential. Woohoo! Wow, we're really living large here. All right, go ahead, Akash. Next.
So the next one is from Zapata.ai. So they have published their research on generative AI for optimization in Nature Communications.
All right, Tim, we'd like to explain quantum modeling compared to traditional modeling, and you've got about 90 seconds.
Like I'm 5, please.
Yeah, it's complicated. How's that? Quantum modeling is getting used more and more. It's not, you know, quantum mechanical computers and stuff like that. It's mathematics, a slightly different kind of mathematics. It has proven effective in many places, and this is apparently one of them. I would still rate this as optional. This is like a weekend read if you're interested in geeking out a little bit. It's research right now. The research was interesting. Definitely, they came up in complex optimization problems doing better than traditional mechanisms, I think 70+% of the time, which is pretty darn good. But it's a research paper and really needs some more sussing out before you can say how good it's going to be. So I would give this an optional, interesting stuff. This quantum modeling stuff is gaining some traction. It's different from the math that's generally used on large language models. So, but again, really that's true of diffusion as well, which is the way that most image generation is done. So there are different tools for different problems, and I think we'll see more of this.
Yeah, fascinating. And they also deal with some interesting problems, right? Portfolio optimization,
Right.
You know, material science. I mean, so
complex optimization problems that are very nonlinear. You want to get geeky about it. That's what makes them very difficult to solve.
Yes. Yeah, no, it's interesting. I sent it along to a client of ours and said, you know, this is something that certainly the people who are doing your modeling ought to do. This particular client said, biopharma. So interesting.
Yep. But it's a pretty niche set of people who are going to be interested right now because it's researchy.
All right, so we're hearing optional or
optional is, but I think with a note that this is an interesting application and it will take hold, I think.
Yeah.
And I'll throw in the footnote back on our daily news briefing on March 6th. We reviewed a startup that had raised 27 million, Multiverse, for quantum software targeting LLM leviathans, which was applying similar approaches. Yeah,
no, it's interesting. Michael Novak is saying, you know, we're going to see more and more of these quantum plus AI articles, and I think he's right, both for the algorithms and for the actual underlying computing.
Yep.
All right. Next, Akash.
Okay. So the next one is from a startup called Datavolo, and they have raised $21 million, and they are helping organizations to get their unstructured data properly in their data pipelines.
All right, Luda, what do you think here?
I think it is actually important for the business leader to keep an eye on these developments. It's not just this particular startup, but in general, unstructured data, as we discussed, will become critical for the implementation of AI. It's not the databases that have been already put together. It's that additional data that is mostly unstructured. And these startups ahead of the game will provide various frameworks to deal with this unstructured data on demand. So I just think that it is important to know that this is happening. And these guys are backed. They're, first of all, very known people, know what they're doing. So they do know what they're doing, and they're backed with good, solid VCs. So I would give it an important, even though it's a raise announcement.
Wow, Luda going deep into important for what in another setting she might have called the nothing burger because it's just money. It's an announcement. All right, so.
Yeah, and I have the same attitude as Luda to a certain extent. The particular company here is totally optional at one level. It's just a money raise. But I agree. The idea of how are you going to structure production pipelines? They're basically doing a Red Hat kind of thing here. They're taking a tool that's very well known. I used it for many years called Apache NiFi, or NiFi, however you like to pronounce it.
Yep.
You know, anybody who's been in machine learning for any period of time knows that these data pipelines are critical processes, and having the right tools for these data pipelines is essential. And there is a good point here that nobody's doing this for, and John, you made the point, for the massive amounts of now suddenly valuable data that's unstructured and not amenable to normal pipeline tools. And so this particular company, we'll see, will they get it right? Will they really work well? Yada, yada, yada. But the idea that if you want to get to scale, you're going to need these kinds of pipeline tools is very important.
Yes, and you know, these entrepreneurs are from the National Security Agency, so you know what their motto is: collect everything.
Well, that's where the original thing was developed, which is, you know,
yes.
I was a big federal contractor, is why we used it a lot.
Yeah, that's where it came from, right? Yes. So commercialization of that surveillance technology is probably likely to work. All right, so we got an important going on here. The other thing I thought was interesting in here is I hadn't seen that IDC study that says 90% of data is unstructured. I can believe it, but you know, you always have to be somewhat suspect of that because if it's unstructured, you probably don't know where it is. Anyway,
you know, John, at first when I was thinking about this, I was thinking of like OCR and text documents and those sorts of things. But as it talks about in the article, right, audio and video image streams, right? Think of all that security cameras, raw signals captured by sensors, deeply nested structured JSON and XML. Like there's so much information that's in multimodal.
Yes.
To start being able to structure that stuff's gonna be really powerful.
Yeah, and you know you know the National Security Administration building in outside of Salt Lake supposedly goes at least 8 layers down under the ground, and that single building uses more electricity than the entire city of Salt Lake. So there you go. All right, these people were schooled there. We'll see what they can come up with. It's important for our leader. All right, next, Akash. Next and last, I think.
Yes, John. So the last one is from ChatGPT and DALL-E. So DALL-E now lets you edit images in ChatGPT.
All right. Well, our cartooning buddy Dave DeLallo is out because he was out at a concert last night with his wife. So we're going to turn to our other artistic.
Yeah, he's a Midjourney shop. I'm the ChatGPT DALL-E guy, really. You know, because it's built into the tool I already use. Look, this is optional news. It's cool. They're starting to catch up to Midjourney. They're starting to catch up to Adobe. But basically, what this is generative fill. You can select a part of the image and you can say remove that object, or you can say put a different object there instead. The couple of use cases I've found that are super handy so far is that often when I try and get text on an image, it won't spell the words correctly. And if I love the image, but the words aren't right, I don't want to have to take it off to some other program just to like mask over that and type some words in. So you can just select it and say, write these words there, and it'll basically take another run at the printing without messing with the rest of the image, which is handy.
Yeah.
But overall,
I think that's going to be one of the most valuable features, because that is one of the biggest problems with image generation is put this text on the image and it seems to completely ignore you most of the time.
Yes. Yeah.
David would probably be thrilled, because that's one of his biggest challenges with his content.
Yes, we'll find out. All right. So we're going to go for optional, but interesting. All right. So let's put our ratings up here. We actually have an essential today. So we have 2 essential for the AI adoption, and then important for data volo, and the rest optional in terms of, Microsoft group chat, enhancing Forrester with a nothing burger, and DALL-E. So interesting day in the news. Certainly useful to our AI leader. Anything important to share with our audience, folks? Okay, nothing new there. We got no announcements. Akash, anything? No, I guess not. All right. With that, we say goodbye from GAI Insights and our daily briefing. Look forward to seeing you all tomorrow in the news of AI.